Children, in this video we will be studying about the stem modification. So there are three types of stem modification seen in the stem. They are aerial stem modification, subaerial stem modification and underground stem modification. So aerial stem means what? The stem which grows above the soil. The entire stem will be above the soil. So what are the modifications seen in the stem that we will be studying under aerial stem modification? So different types of aerial stem modifications are creepers, trailers, climbers, phylloclate, cladode and thorns. Next here in this we can find the creepers, trailers and climbers. They have the weak stem. Next, phylloclate and cladode, the stem is modified to perform the function of photosynthesis. And the thorns, the next type the thorns, where the stem is modified to give protection to the plant. Next is what? Yes, subaerial modification. Subaerial stem means what? The stem which grow, the part of the stem it grows above the soil and part of the stem it grows below the soil. So here example of the different types of subaerial modification: runners, stolen, suckers and offset. The next type of underground modification is what? And next type of stem modification is underground modification. In underground modification, the stem is completely under the soil. So here in these plants, the real stem is underground. Example, you can find potato, ginger. Next in banana plant, the real stem remains underground. So what are the modifications seen there that we will be studying under the underground modification? Example, different types are bulb, comb, rhizome and tuber. So next, let's study about the aerial modification. So aerial modification, first type of aerial modification is the creepers. These are the plants, they grow closer or horizontally on the ground and they produce roots at each node. So here the plant has the weak stem, so the stem it grows closer to the ground, and from the nodes of the stem they produces the roots. Okay, that is in the we have studied on the creepers. Next we are going to study the next type of stem is the trailers. Trailers also they have the weak stem that spread over the surface of the ground without rooting. So here there is no roots are present at the nodes, then it is called as the trailers. They are divided into three types: prostrate, decumbent and diffuse. Prostrate means the stem will grow horizontal on the surface, okay, or prostrate means a sleeping gesture. So the stem will be growing on the surface, flat on the surface, okay, and on the surface of the ground, then it is called as the prostrate. Decumbent stem means what? The plant will be growing, the stem will be growing horizontal to the surface of the soil, but at the time of reproductive structures, at the development of the reproductive structures like the flowers, the axil or the stem will start growing erect. Next is the diffuse. Diffuse is what? The stem they grows horizontal on the ground and they shows the branching. Okay, so these are the trailers. Next we are going to study about climbers. Climbers, they are also the plants with long weak stem and they produce special organs for the attachment for climbing over a support. So here climbers they grow with the help of a support, they will climb over other host or any surface. So for this climbing they require specialized structures. Based on that they are classified into different types. So this climbing helps to display the leaves towards the sunlight. So this climbers they help while they make an arrangement for the leaves to be exposed to sunlight for photosynthesis, exposed for pollination. For support they require for climbers, they are classified into different types. First one is the root climbers. So here plants climbing with the help of the adventitious roots, as in species of creeper beetle. So here you can see some climbing plants with the help of the roots. The roots arise from the nodes. These roots they are called as the adventitious roots. With the help of these adventitious roots, these weak plants or these climbers they grow on the or they climb on the host plant, then it is called as the root climbers. Example for that is Piper nigrum, or it is the piper beetle, that is the pepper nigrum, that is the pepper plant, you can see here. Next is the stem climbers. Stem climbers, these climbers, they lack any specialized structures for climbing, and the stem itself coil around the support. Example, ipomia, clitoria, etc. The stem climbers may coil around the support either clockwise or anti-clockwise. So clockwise coiling climbers, they are called as the dextrose. Example, Dioscorea alata. And anti-clockwise coiling climbers are called as sinistros. Example, Dioscorea bulbifera. So here stem climbers, they do not have any specialized structure for climbing, but the stem itself will wind around the host. Based on the winding, whether it is clockwise or anti-clockwise, they are classified as dextrose and sinistros. Next is the hook climbers. Hook climbers, in which the any of the plant part is modified into a hook-like structure, which is helping in the growth of the, which is helping in the climbing of the plant. So here these plants produce specialized hook-like structures, which are modification of various organs of the plant. In Artavatris, inflorescence axis is modified into hook. So inflorescence axis is what? The axis on which the flowers are arranged. That inflorescence axis is modified as a hook here. In Calamus, the leaf tip is modified into hook. In Bignonia, the leaflets are modified into curved hook. So leaflets, we know it is the part of the compound leaf. We have studied in compound leaf, we have numerous leaflets. The leaflet, it is modified into hook for the support of the climbing of the plant here. Next, in Hugonia, the axillary buds, they are modified into hook. That is, the axillary bud is the bud which grows on the axil of the leaf. That bud is modified into the form of the hook again for the climbing of this weak plant. Next is the thorn climbers. Climbing or reclining on the support with the help of thorns. So here, this the thorn climbers, they will with the help of the thorns, they get a support to climb over the host plant. Next is what? The lioness. Lioness, already we have studied, they are the woody stem climbers. Okay, they are the perennial and they are found in the tropical forest. They twine themselves around the tall trees to get the light. So here these lioness, they are found in the forest to expose the leaves to trap the sunlight. These plants, these woody climbers, they climb around the trees to reach to the top of the plant. Next is the tendril climbers. Tendrils are thread-like coiling structures which help the plants in climbing. So tendrils you might have seen in some plants. Example, you might have seen in bitter gourd. There are some thread-like structure, yellowish, pale yellowish thread-like structures. These thread-like structures, they wind around the support, any support, and they help the plant to climb up. So here tendrils, they are the thread-like coiling structures which help the plants in climbing. Tendrils may be modification of the stem, as in vitis. Vitis and sizes quadrangularis. Vitis means the grape. In the grape you can find the tendrils are there. Sizes quadrangularis, that is the pyrendi plant, also you can find in the nodal region. There are tendrils are present there, which helps in making the plant to climb on the support. Inflorescence axis in Antigonan. Leaf is modified into tendril in Lathyrus. Leaflet in Pisces sativum. Petiole. Petiole is the stalk of the leaf. The stalk of the leaf is modified in Clematis. Leaf tip is modified into tendril in Gloriosa. Stipules. Stipules are again the small scaly leaf-like structure present at the base of the leaf. They are called the stipules. The stipules, they are modified as a tendril in Smilex. In pitcher plant, the midrib of the leaf, they coil around a support like a tendril. Okay, to make the pitcher. Pitcher is the pot-like structure, which is a modification of a leaf to make it vertically open, vertical position. The petiole, the midrib, it gets converted in the form of a tendril and wind around any support. Next, you are going to study about the next aerial modification, that is Phylloclate. Phylloclate, it is a stem modification in which it is a green, the stem is becoming green, flattened or cylindrical or angled structure. Okay, and it is they may be branched of unlimited growth. They may grow unlimitedly. Next, consisting of series of nodes and internodes are present there at long and short intervals. Phylloclate is a characteristic adaptation and modified of xerophytes. So phylloclate they are found in the xerophytic plants. Xerophytes, they are the plants which grow in the water lacking conditions, where the leaves often they fall off early and they are modified into spines or scales to reduce the transpiration. The phylloclate takes over all the functions of the leaves, particularly the photosynthesis. The phylloclate they are also called as the chlorophyll. Example is Opentia. So here you can see in figure 3.8 the A diagram phylloclade. So here you can see the stem is becoming green in color, flattened structure. Okay, and it has the leaves are modified in the form of spines. So, and this here the stem is performing the function of photosynthesis. So this is the phylloclade. So here the nodes and internodes they are present of unlimited growth. Next here the cladode. Cladode is also similar to the phyllodes. Here the cladode, the stem is again modified in the form of a green structure. It may again be flattened or cylindrical in structure, but one or two internodes are only present here. Their stem nature is evident that it is a stem is proved by the presence of the buds, scales and flowers over it. Example for cladode is asparagus. The next aerial modification is the thorns. Thorns is a woody and sharp pointed modified stem. Either the axillary bud or the terminal bud gets modified into thorns. So here again the thorns they are seen in the plants, they are the woody structure, and these are nothing but they are the either the terminal bud or the axillary buds, they are modified in the form of the thorns. So here these thorns you can find in citrus, in Atlantia axillary is bud, axillary bud is modified into thorns. Next you are going to study the next modification is the subaerial stem modification. Subaerial stem found in plants with weak stem in which branches lie horizontally on the ground. They are meant for vegetative propagation. They may be subaerial or partially subterranean. So here as we have studied, subaerial stem modification means the stem they grow partially above the soil and partially below the soil. So again they have the weak stems here. So first one is the runner. This is a slender prostrate branch creeping on the ground and rooting at the nodes. Example oxalis, lawn grass, that is the Cynodon dactylia. So here runner you can find, you might have seen when you pull out a grass from the ground, you can see to some distance the soil will be pulled out, the soil will be lifted up because these branches of the stem they grow in different directions. Okay, so when you pull out the main stem, the other on the side the lateral branches are also pulled out, and at the nodes you can find the rootings are present there. So they are called as the runners. Okay, so they are slender. Slender means thin prostrate branch. Prostrate, that is again they grow flat on the surface, creeping on the ground and rooting at the nodes. So in the nodal region you can find the roots are present there. So in the common grass, the lawn grass, you can find they are the runners. Next is the stolon. Stolon, this is also a slender lateral branch originating from the base of the stem, but it first grows obliquely above the ground, produces a loop and bends down towards the ground. When that touches the ground, it produces roots and become an independent plantlet. So here you can find, so in the figure 3.9a runner you can find oxalis. So here you can see the root is present there. The branches they are running in different direction, and from the nodes of these branches you can find the roots are arising. So these are called the runners. Next you have studied about the stolon. Stolon here it is what? The stem they will grow vertically upwards. Okay, so here one plant is present there, it has a root, the branching is coming on, the branching grows obliquely upwards, then when it touches down again from the nodal region, again the leaves they come out, they are called as the stolon here. So stolon they are also slender lateral branch originating from the base of the stem, but it first grows obliquely above the ground, produces a loop and bend down towards the ground. So that is the stem first grow upwards, then it bend down. When it touches the ground, it produces the roots there, and they again, if they detach from the parent plant, they can develop into a new plant. Example you can find in Mentha pipersia, that is in the mint you can also find here. Next is the sucker. Sucker develops from an underground stem and grows obliquely upwards and give rise to a separate plantlet or new plant. Example, Chrysanthemum bambusa. So here you can find the suckers. You can see here the diagram. Figure 3.9c, you can see sucker, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum is the samanthi. So here you can find the main stem, you can see. From that, the lateral branches, you can see. The lateral branches, first they grow below the soil, obliquely they grow below the soil, then they come up. Okay, when they come up, so when they are growing down below the soil obliquely, from the nodal regions, they give rise to what the roots are arising, and when they come up, they develop into a new plant. So this is a example for the sucker. So here you can find it as in chrysanthemum. Next is the offset. So chrysanthemum, the sucker develops an underground stem, and this stem they grow obliquely upwards and give rise to a separate plantlet or new plant. Next is the offset. Offset is similar to runner but found in aquatic plants. So offset is the seen as the aquatic plants, especially in rosette leaved forms. Rosette leaf forms means the stem is very much condensed and the leaves they are very close to each other. A short thick lateral branch arises from the lower axil and grows horizontally leafless for a short distance. Then it produces a bunch of rosette leaves and roots at nodes. Example, Eichhornia, that is water hyacinth, Pisthia, water lettuce. So here you can find the figure 3.9d diagram. You can see offset Eichhornia, you can see that is, it is having a condensed branch, from that the roots are arising. Next, this they will give out the lateral branching. The lateral branching they will grow under the water for short distance, and next what will happen, from again they will give rise to the leaves. Okay, at the short distance it will give rise to the condensed leaves, numerous leaves, and at the nodal region they will again give rise to the numerous roots. So again this is called as the underground stem modification. This is called as the subaerial stem modification. Next we are going to study about the underground stem modification. Perennial and some biennial herbs, they have underground stems, which are generally they are known as the rootstocks. Perennial, we know they are the plants which grow for many years. Biennials, we know they are the plants which grow for 2 years. So a rootstock functions as a storage and protective organ. It remains alive below the ground during unfavorable condition and resumes the growth during the favorable condition. So here they are called as the underground stems, they are called as the rootstocks. These rootstocks they remain active even in the during the unfavorable condition, and when the suitable condition returns, they will give rise to the new plantlet. Underground stems are not roots because they possess nodes, internodes, scale leaves and buds. Now here how we are able to differentiate between an underground stem and underground root. Okay, so here by the presence of the nodes, internodes and the scaly leaves which are present over the buds. Root stalks also lack root cap and root hairs, but they possess terminal bud, which is a characteristics of the stem. So different types of underground stem modifications, they are the bulb. Bulb you can find here is the onion. Onion is an example of a bulb here. So it is a condensed conical or convex stem surrounded by fleshy scaly leaves. So here we can find the onion rings what we get. They are nothing but they are the scaly leaves are there. At the base of the onion where the roots arise, a hard region is present, that is the condensed stem, that is in the shape of a convex stem or conical in shape, that is the stem. From that stem only the roots are arising, and around this stem we can find the circular scaly leaves are present there. So here there are two types, tunicated. So here first one tunicated, that is the coated bulb, in which the stem is much condensed and surrounded by several concentric layers of scaly leaves. The inner scales commonly fleshy and the outer ones they are dry. They can be classified into two types: simple tunicated bulb. Example, allium cepa. Allium cepa is for the onion. Next is the compound tunicated. Compound tunicated is what we can find the allium sativum, that is in the garlic. That is each pod is surrounded by the dry scaly leaves are present there. Okay. So here we have studied the bulb. The bulb you can find the real stem is very much condensed. Okay, it is in the shape of a conical or a convex structure, and from the base of the stem only there rises the leaves, and around this stem conical stem the concentric circles of scaly leaves are present there. Next is the comb. It is a succulent underground stem. Succulent means which can store the water with an erect growing tip. So here you might have seen the yam, elephant like yam. So here you can find it is underground stem, and they have the growing tip is present there. The comb is surrounded by scale leaves and exhibit nodes and internodes, that is amorphophilous. Okay, Colocasia, Colchium. So here these you can say Chepakalang, what we call it as. So they are all the examples of comb. Okay, next is the rhizome. Rhizome you can find it is an underground stem growing horizontally. The difference between a comb and a rhizome is comb they are stone like structures. Okay, they are somewhat round in structures. The growth is what vertical growth is taking place, whereas in rhizome the growth is taking place horizontally. Okay, so rhizome, these are the underground stem growing horizontally with several lateral growing tips are present there. So here in this the growth tips they are present in the lateral ends are present there. Rhizome they possess conspicuous nodes and internodes covered by scaly leaves. So here easily visible nodes and internodes are present there, and they are protected by the scaly leaves are present there in the nodes. Example, gingiber officinale. Gingiber, that is the ginger. So here these are the examples of the rhizome. Even musa, that is the banana plant also, we have the underground stem rhizome is present there. Next is the tuber. Tuber is a succulent underground spherical or globose stem with many embedded axillary buds. They are called as the eyes. Example, Solanum tuberosum. So here the next is what the tuber, that is the potato is an example of a tuber. You can find it is spherical in shape or globose in shape. It has the axillary buds are present, that is called the eyes. So from the when these potatoes with the eyes when they are cut and kept in the soil, they can give rise to the new plant. So example for them is Solanum tuberosum. Okay, that is the potato plant. Next we are going to study about the branchings in the stem. Branching pattern is determined by the relative activity of the apical meristem. The mode of arrangement of the branches on the stem is known as the branching. There are two main types of branching: lateral branching and dichotomous branching. Based on the growth pattern, stem may show indeterminate or determinate growth. So here we are going to study the two types of branching: indeterminate and determinate branching. So indeterminate, the terminal bud grows uninterrupted. The tip, the bud which is present at the tip, it keeps on growing. So vertical growth is taking place and produce several lateral branches. This type of growth is known as monopodial branching. So here indeterminate growth, the main axis, because of the presence of the terminal bud, they keep on elongating and they show the growth of the lateral bud. That is also called as monopodial branching. Next is the determinate branching. The terminal bud ceases to grow after a period of growth, and the further growth is taken care by successive or several lateral meristem or buds. This type of growth is also known as sympodial branching. So next is the determinate growth is what? The terminal bud, they will stop growing after attaining a certain growth. After that, the buds which is present in the terminal bud, terminal regions, which is present in the lateral buds, they will start growing and they will keep on branching. This is called as the sympodial branching. Okay, example for this is the cycas. So hope you have understood today's topic, the shoot system. In the shoot system we studied about the stem characteristics, functions of the stem, types of stem, and modifications of the stem and the branching. So hope you have understood all these topics. If any doubt you can ask me. Thank you, children.